And you know what's funny? Before the meeting, I thought about your last name, True Love, and I'm like, your name is your ministry because his name is called Jarrell True Love, and that is his real name, True Love. And your name is your ministry. God has assigned you to preach and talk about uh, loving people truly. So, and teaching people how to love truly. Um,
Ooh.
so I just wanted to give that to you. I'm like, that's your ministry. Your name is your ministry. That's why we have to be careful when we name our kids. But God bless you so much for joining us. And we are, for the first part, we definitely want to talk about his book. If you are, for the ones that didn't join us last time, Jarrell is a published author. He has published a book called Friends First: What We Get Wrong in Relationships and How to Get It Right Through Friendship. So this is the book, if you guys can see it. Sorry, hopefully my camera's working. And it's available on Amazon, and it's also available on Kindle Audio, right, Jarrell?
You're mute.
I apologize. Yeah, not the audio version yet, but just the Kindle format.
Okay, so the hard. Okay, so the paperback is available on Amazon. Do you ship internationally? Because we do have some people that are joining us from the Caribbean and Africa. Do you?
Yes, yes. It does ship internationally, and I have had a few people buy the book in Mexico as well as London as well. So it is available in most markets. Yeah.
Nice. So the book is available for our international guests. We will drop the link in the chat later on if you do want to go on Amazon and purchase the book. So I do want to kind of talk about the book. Jarrell, can you just tell us, I know, but for the people that don't know, what inspired you to write this book? What triggered you to write this book?
Yes, absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for having me again. This is number 2, hopefully 2 of many more.
Amen.
Thank you for the introduction. And so, yes, the inspiration for the book actually came from the relationship that I was able to create and cultivate with my now wife, but then friends. I had just got out of a 6.5-year relationship that failed, and I had this, come to Jesus moment. I told myself, the main thing I said was the next woman that I asked to be my girlfriend, I will already want and desire her to be my wife. So that meant that if I'm asking her that question, I need to really get to know who she is as a woman, what value she adds to my life before I do anything remotely serious. And when I had that thought, my wife and I were actually friends at that time. I actually shared that statement with her. I remember, and that was in 2016, I believe. And so, to give you a little backstory, my wife and I, we knew each other for several years, but over the course of about a 1.5-year period, starting in 2015, we became best friends. We were talking every single day. And it was a real friendship. So it wasn't like I was trying to get to know her to get with her. It was just, man, I enjoy her company. She adds value to my life. I believe I add value to hers. And that was the basis, the foundation for us then becoming boyfriend, girlfriend, a fiance. And now we've been married for 1.5 years now, and our anniversary is coming up in September. So yeah, that was the inspiration for the book. And I just wanted to write something that gave people a new perspective on how to approach relationship with friendship as the starting point.
That's awesome. And that's a good reason because I feel like, dating now in this day and age, everything is happening instantly. We don't give time to cultivate real relationships and friendship. Well, not even just like, as a boyfriend and girlfriend, but actual like friendship. We don't take time to cultivate that. We're in the era of the hookup, where we are the hookup generation, right? And for everybody that doesn't know what a hookup is, that's when two individuals, jump right into sex. They don't allow time to be friends. They don't give themselves time to court. and they just jump right into bed with each other. And then later on, they figure out that they're not compatible at all. And it was just a sexual attraction. It was nothing that led to marriage. So I think this book is definitely pivotal for the times we're in right now. So God bless you. And I know you are working on book number 2. So
Yeah,
those
yeah.
that haven't purchased number 1, please do, because book number 2 is on the way. We see that Mrs. True Love, my
Yay!
good friend Becky Bex is on. Hi.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me, and apologies for the delay.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I love the glasses. You look good and profesh.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I was telling Jarrell, and you too, because I'm actually, me and Becky are friends, and she is married to Jarrell, and that's how I got to meet her husband, Jarrell. And I was telling everyone before you joined that Jarrell's last name is his ministry. True love. God has anointed him to teach people how to love truly. And that, you've been married into that name, and that literally is the spirit that you exude too. So God bless both of y'all, because this is not just his venture, it's your venture too. So God bless both of you all. So thanks, Jarrell, for explaining the purpose and meaning of why you wrote the book. I do want to ask you a couple of questions from the book that I thought kind of stood out to me. So I'll go with question number 1. It won't be too many, so we can dive into other topics. But on page, in a chapter titled "The Dating Conundrum," on page 40. So you mentioned that dating in the 21st century is broken, and I also agree with what you're saying, especially for myself right now, because I am in the current dating market, and dating right now is very ghetto. Uh, it's a very ghetto situation right now, and I say it's a mess. It's a mess. If anyone that is dating, that is looking to get married, I know it's a little bit more challenging than what it was back in the day, compared to, especially with the technology. Technology, I say, is a blessing and a curse. But in this day and age, I feel like it's made it very hard for us to date. And I've also found myself in the plot twist scenarios that you mentioned in this chapter. So do you feel like this generation is at a disadvantage with in regards to this chapter, especially with the rapid growth of technology and social media? Do you think we are at a disadvantage with dating?
That's like going to be the question that defines, I think, this generation. And I agree. I think that because everything can be, we're given the illusion that we can have whatever we want and we can have it quickly. Mm-hmm. And so if you think about that mindset, right, we get the fast food, we can have everything delivered, groceries, alcohol, you can literally have anything delivered to your door for ultimate convenience. Mm-hmm. And so think about that ultimate convenience, and how does that translate to dating, right? Ultimate convenience. I just need to put on my best whatever for a few nights, and that should be enough to somehow carry me into a lifelong marriage, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think it's that's what it is. It's how can I make something very serious, something very hard, and that requires a lot of work, how can I make this as easy as possible? Yeah. Right? How can I get from single to married for 40 years with the least amount of work? Yeah. And the interesting thing, in my opinion, about marriage is that it's one of those things that there is no easy, right? It can get easier, but only through hard work, yeah. Right? There's no cheat code for marriage. Like there are some things that maybe you can cut a few corners on here when it comes to, money or finance or houses or other things, education maybe. But when it comes to me and you from now until we're both no longer here, there's no easy way to do that. And I think that unfortunately, it's hard to be scrolling all day and just taking in all this media and watching all these videos and seeing all these reels, and then removing yourself from that and then coming over here to a relationship and then slowing down and trying, you see what I'm saying? It's just, I think I was reading something that, you know, not being required to focus will eventually make it to where you can't focus. Does that make sense? So like, because of how quickly things are happening, you don't really have to focus. You just take in everything in small pieces. But then when it comes time to focus and to think and to learn, you slowly become unable to do those things. And so to answer your question, again, I definitely think that this generation is at a huge disadvantage when it comes to building quality relationships.
Yeah. No.
Can I ask a question, Miss Maya?
No, yeah, go, please.
So, Jarrell, so looking at it, if marriage, which it is, a blessing from God, instituted by God, manufactured by God, and we have social media, we have so many other distractions. If those things takes our focus from what God has for us, we're definitely not going to make the right choices.
Very true. Very true.
And so if our focus is really on social media, we're going to get a social media kind of marriage. But if we put our focus on God, we are going to get the God-ordained marriage. And so I think that the generation right now should figure out, okay, is it the God of this world, which is Satan, or the God of, you know, the Bible, who ordained the marriage, and whose precepts or whose manuscript are we supposed to read about marriage? Because if we follow social media, trust me, we'll not get it right, because we have people spending $1 million on weddings. We have people spending so much money on engagement. We don't have that kind of money. And so you end up borrowing money to go do all these lavish weddings or ceremonies. And then you're broke on the first month of your marriage.
Yeah.
And so I think that, focusing on, God ordained. I have so much in my heart to pour out tonight, but please take it easy. I just feel that if we're going to do it, then we should just do it right by the one who actually created the institution, and we should follow his precepts. But I think we've gotten seriously distracted by social media or the community or peer pressure or whatsoever. And even for those already married, sometimes do face these challenges.
Yes, no, I agree. And even just talking about one thing like divorce, right? You made a great point. A social media marriage is a marriage that you can just get out of, basically, right? Because as much and as often as we see people happy and getting married, regardless of what they spent on their wedding, we also see just as many people going through divorce, going through child custody issues, defamation suits. A social media marriage is a marriage that is not meant for a lifetime, I would say. It's meant to just, if it works, it works. But if it doesn't, then let's do away with it. And that directly goes against what the Bible says. I think there's a lot of debate about that, but I know in the Bible, I think the only grounds for marriage is, marriage abandonment or infidelity. But other than that, this is supposed to be a covenant for life. Like, a lot of ministers and preachers at weddings, they'll say, hey, you two look at each other and say, this is it. I've heard that so many times at weddings. But a social media marriage says, this is it for now. But if you do something I don't like, then this is over, So I definitely agree that social media marriage is a great way to describe how things are going right now.
Yeah. Miss Villa, did you want to read out what's out there, or you want me to go ahead? Whichever one works.
Yes. Mr. Troy Holness, or Pastor Troy. Yes, he made a comment. He said the first point, a man wants a woman who is financially responsible. So, and he said, those are my few words in Jesus' name, amen. God bless you, Troy. And that's I have to, piggyback off of that, because that's a lot of, I was reading today online. I don't know if you guys are familiar with any of the NFL players, the football players, Travis Kelce broke up with his girlfriend, Kayla Nicole, and I think they broke up about 2 weeks ago. So today or yesterday, she came out and said that, he was cheap, and that he made her buy her own flights and made her pay half for everything so she could prove herself before he started, spending money on her and everything like that. So, I mean, I don't know. I think it might be a little different for their culture since they're in the whole football world, and for us everyday civilians, it might be a little bit different. But yeah, I can agree with that. No man wants to date a woman that's going to be frivolous with his cash and drive him into a pool of debt. So that makes sense.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Awesome.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, great. That's good. Did anyone else have any input in regards to that discussion we just had, or the question that was brought up? And also, everyone, if you have a question and you can't talk or it's loud where you are, please go ahead and drop your question in the chat. If you do have a question, feel free to raise your hand. We have had some great people join us. I just want to give some couple of shout outs. Faith Camp, thank you for joining. Thank you for also inviting your cousin Keish from Georgia. God bless you. We had Emmanuel that joined us. God bless you. Solomon, you also joined. Thank you so much. God bless you. Jalicia, I think that's Jarrell's friend. I see her holding the camera. So Jarrell's also a photographer. So I assume that's, the connections right there. Thank you so much for joining. Love your picture. Pastor Ethel Richards also joined us. Thank you so much. God bless you, sister, woman of God. Also, Felicia, hopefully I pronounced that right. I'm so sorry, but thank you so much for joining us. I'm not sure who invited you, but also God bless that person. Hopefully I did not miss anyone. Bridget, hopefully I called you out. God bless you too. So yes, again, thank you everyone that joined. And again, if it's noisy where you're at, please mute yourself. And again, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat for us. If you cannot talk, again, we would love to hear your feedback. Before I go to the next question, thank you so much, Felicia. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. Please forgive me if I'm not. We have another question or input from Troy. He said, is it important for a woman to have an important daughter-father relationship with her dad before she assumes dating? And if so, how important is it?
That's a good question.
That's loaded.
Yeah.
Like a baked potato. Okay.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot of ways to answer that question. I will say, first of all, yes, that's very, very important. Now, is that going to be every woman? Unfortunately not. And just because, a father isn't in a woman's life, it doesn't guarantee that, she'll turn out good or bad, right? Mm-hmm. So that's, I guess, the first thing to say. But yes, it's very, very important. The man is going to set the blueprint, right, for a girl who is coming into her womanhood to see how a man operates, to see him going to work every day. If the man and the mother and father are married, very important to see how the married couple operates, right? What the roles and responsibilities around the house, how they treat each other, how they love on each other. Mm-hmm. And it's also really good to see how they resolve conflict, right? I think it's actually good to not hide every disagreement from your kid, but to show them how you can have a disagreement and then solve it and still go back to loving each other, right? And then more importantly, it's very important because as a man or as a father, every father wants to make sure his daughter is handed off to a capable man. So, a father knowing his daughter, knowing her, just who she is as a woman, he can see that guy and he can know pretty quickly, he's not it. And so I think also just getting that father's approval, that's gold, right? Every man wants to shake dad's hand and say, these are my intentions. And then last thing I'll say is, what I think, I'm not sure how many women lean on their father for dating advice, other than just saying, hey, Dad, here's a guy I'm dating, but actually saying, hey, Dad, here's a guy I'm thinking about dating. Can you guide me? You know, what do you think about him? But yeah, having that father there to lean on, to ask questions, that's important as well. So it's incredibly important, but it's not a deal breaker if there's no father in the equation.
Okay, that's really good. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you, Troy, for asking that question. I know for myself, I come from a Ghanaian, which is an African household, and our parents are not the most emotional beings on the planet. So asking your parent for dating advice, they might shun you, and then you get into your 30s and they're wondering why you're not married. Well, I tried to ask you about dating, and you kept telling me I need to focus on school. So, thank you, Troy, for bringing that up. God bless you. And Felicia says she's happy to be here. Thank you so much. God bless you. Faith Camp said, what do you think of motivating more people to live together rather than to marry?
That's a really good question. So what is motivating people to live together? So rather marry. Okay. So I think that people think that the best way to get to know you is to live with you. And they just have made up in their mind, like, that's it. That's the best way. There's no other better way, right? And so they're just thinking, hey, I want to know what it's like to live with you. But, I heard something the other day, and I hadn't thought of it from this angle. He said that people, I think, are assuming that I'm not really getting to know you hard, so getting to know who you are. So if I want to really, then I have to live with you, because if I don't, then there's just this big question mark there, right? But he said that if you're really getting to know somebody, they're gonna be the same person, right? They're still gonna have those same core qualities, whether you live with them or not. Now, when you move in, then you'll discover some of their little habits and quirks. That's true, but everybody has those, right? Everyone has those. Now, I will say, as a small aside, the main thing is knowing what questions to ask, knowing what information to get up front, so you won't feel like you have to move in with them, right? I think that also, going back to what I said earlier with the social media marriage, I think people see that as like a cheat code. Like, hey, let me just move in real quick. Let me test it. Oh, this didn't work. But do you know how inconvenient and frustrating it is to have to move out of someone's house and split apart your life? Like, that's not easy, but it's like people don't think that far ahead. They just think, oh, I like you, you like me. Let's live together. That just makes sense. And they don't think or even question whether or not there's a better way, but there definitely is. And you do not have to live with someone to find out who they are before you marry them.
Makes sense. Thank you so much. Thank you, Faith Camp, for raising that question. Ethel Richard says it's very important, which I definitely believe we all agree. Thank you so much, Pastor Ethel. Also, Felicitas has her hand up. You wanted to ask a question. You can unmute yourself, please, and ask your question. Thank you.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Felicitas. I know it's a long name.
Thank you. No, you're fine. Thank you for correcting.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I can't turn on my camera. I just got back from work, but I really wanted to be a part of this. And yeah, so I'm not trim and proper to show my face, but that's okay. Yeah, I just wanted to add to what the first question, the question about, is it important for a woman to have an important daughter-father relationship with her dad before she assumes dating? And if so, how important is it? Yeah. I will say yes, it is important, because it gives the totality of that woman. She's moving over, she's going to leave her parents, or she's going to leave. I mean, she's going to move to live with a man, and that will be for the rest of her life and all that, because that's what marriage is supposed to be. It's God made it, God designed it to last, right? If we're doing it godly way, which is the right way to do. So it's good for a father to, to be involved in the child's life, in training, in talking with the child and all that. And I like the fact, I'm also an African, I'm Nigerian. So I like the fact that, we're back home, our parents don't want to hear that. They wanted to go to school, come out and be that, good child. And then afterwards, I remember when I turned 21, my father said, look, this is the key. They gave me a party, and then he went to ask, where is your boyfriend? I didn't have any boyfriend. And he said, what's wrong at 21? You don't have a boyfriend? I said, Dad, I don't, because how, we're back home, your father is very disciplined. Nobody comes home, before you come, they're going to ask your friend like 101 question at the same time. Who's your dad? Where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. So, most times we don't want all those embarrassment and everything. But there were a lot of stuff I learned from my dad, and so it's good, because the real thing, the problem we're having today is a lack of proper family structure. So if you don't see that when you're growing up, before you get into dating, and then you move to the next phase of your life, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be, that child, that daughter or that girl probably is going to be struggling. And then if you don't have a father in your life, maybe your dad is not there, or you didn't grow up with that, that is not an excuse, because God did not make a mistake by giving a father and a woman. That's a family. A man and a woman brings a child. And so it takes both parents to raise that child so that that child will have, like I said, totality of everything together, because the man has his own input. The woman has her own, the mother has her own input in there. So yes, it's important. If you don't have a father, look for a father figure. Look for a man. It could be a good mentor, it could be a good pastor, somebody. You need that person that, you can talk to, you can watch from, and all that. So it's really very good to build that, because if you move into a man's life and a man is behaving as, I'm not saying you have to marry a man that looks like your dad or that behaves like your father. You won't have that. But at least there are one or two things you see your dad will do. And I pray that the fathers we have in our lives, or our children, or, generation we have, because there's some dad that honestly you wish you never met this father, you never had this father. But we are just praying that things work out well for everybody. But if you don't have such father, it is not an excuse to say, I'm going to live my life like that. Look for a father figure and, adopt a father, or look for one and then, because that will help you emotionally, that will help you mentally, that will help you, to build yourself up. So I wanted to add that to, to what, the guy spoke. Sorry, I came late. I didn't get his name. And then I want to share one experience I had, with my dad. My father told me one time, he said, if any man ever, that before I even knew anything about abuse and all this, if any guy ever raises his hand to slap you, end that relationship. I was like, wow. So, but he didn't go further to explain. But then if I see somebody like, when we're having friends in school and all that, so I was really watching out for that. As I grew older, it then made a lot of sense. Okay, this is why my dad says, any man raises his hand to slap you or push you, or treat you in a way you're not supposed to treat you, end that relationship. So if I didn't learn that from my dad, or he didn't tell me that, probably I'll just get into a relationship, or anything that happened, I'll just feel like, oh, okay, it is meant to happen, or it's part of love. Because some women say, if my guy doesn't hit me, that means he doesn't love me. So that is always good to have that, because if I didn't have that relationship with my dad, I wouldn't have learned that. Then there's one thing that really happened. I'll end here. One day I dressed up, I was going out, and my dad, I left the house, and my father just saw me. He said, come back here. And he looked at me, so, oh, you look so beautiful. I said, thank you, Dad. He now said, and I love you. And he said, if you go out there and a man is telling you I love you, tell the man that your father says, your dad has already told you that. And do you know, it was just like, I mean, I literally just walked out of my compound and a car just swing by. And The next thing, the guy wound down his car and said, hey, pretty girl, oh, come on, come right in, blah, blah, blah. And I love you. I'm like, what? My dad just told me that. So I didn't fall for that trap. So it is good. Honestly, it is really good to have this, our parents in our lives. And if you don't have, look for someone that is responsible, that you can be accountable and have that person in your life, because definitely you're going to learn one or two things. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Wow. Wow. Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Ms. Bella, can I say something to that, if that's
Yeah,
okay?
please go ahead.
You know, I wasn't processing the questions well, but Pastor Troy, that's a very good question. And thank you so much, Ms. Felicitas, for answering that. And looking back, yes, I have a very strong bond with my father. Mm-hmm. Number one, it made me a hardworking lady, because my dad works hard. Whatever he wants, if it's the best things in life, he work hard for it. And so to some extent, it made me independent. I can rely on a man to take care of me, but I can always, by God's grace, stand on my own 2 feet, because I saw how hard my dad worked to get whatever he wanted. So those work ethics were instilled in me. And secondly, you know, like way back home in Ghana, you would have some of our mates going out with sugar daddies. I don't know if everyone knows what sugar daddies is. It's like you date men that are way older than you because you want some financial support. Okay, so I also did not get into that stigma or that generation, because my dad always provided. And he made sure that if I didn't have it at this season or this time, okay, Abena, maybe the next vacation time or the next season or the next year, I'll get it for you. So I never relied on men per se to get me what I needed. And I think that it has its pluses and negatives as well. But I think it was a good foundation for me. So Troy, I didn't think about that question, but I learned those principles from my dad because I had a good relationship with him. And I remember one time, one of his friends, and this is what I talk about the sugar daddies. One of his friends was I think he was a chief in some town called Kofreidia, chief's son. And then because he thought he had money, you know, he could lure any girl, and he wanted to get me into his camp. And I said, no, just like Miss Felicity said, I said, my dad has a lot of money. I don't need your money. But it was because I had a good relationship with my dad, and I could tell him whatever was going on in my life. I did not fall into those traps. So I think that's very vital, that if we don't have it, like you said, maybe we should look for, you know, some genuine father figure that would, number one, would not molest us sexually, you know, but would look for the best things in life for us and train us up. And now it's like, God forbid, if your man leaves you or whatsoever, you're able to pick yourself up again and work and take care of yourself financially. So I think that's a very good question, Troy. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. You have a few questions, Ms. Bella, on the platform. I don't know where you want to go.
Yes, I do. Thank you for bringing that up. So I have a question from Keish, and then after that, Rebecca, Mrs. Truelove raised their hand. So we'll get to you next. But okay. Keish wrote, is marriage a Christian concept? And that's for Jarrell. I'm not sure if you can see it in the chat. You might have to scroll up. It came in at 7:39. Is marriage a Christian concept?
So that's a great question. I was actually looking through the chat, and I actually like what Troy said. He said it's not necessarily a Christian concept, because it's, you know, marriage is something that's recognized all around the world, all religions, all peoples, all faiths, all languages. But I think for me and I think the question below that was, we are ascribing Christian values to an unbelieving world. Mm-hmm. So I understand that part, Keish. But I think as far as marriage, I don't think we're necessarily that's not ascribing a Christian value. I think, so I look at marriage as the highest commitment you can make to somebody. Like there's nothing higher than marriage. I think I articulated that on the last call. So there's no step above marriage. It's like marriage is the top floor. And I think that marriage points to other principles that are followed by Christians, but also followed by other people as far as doing things in order. And I think that's a big part of the Bible. And so that, I don't think it's a Christian value. It's just a value of make sure that you choose the right person. And after you make that choice, you stand by that choice. Right. And so whether you're a Christian or Hindu or whatever, you know, whoever you believe in, you raise your hand to them, right? To what you believe in and your family and this person. You say, I choose you, and I'm not going to waver on that choice.
Okay. Can I ask you a question over there? What do you mean? Maybe we should ask Keisha, what do you mean by Christian value? Because I am beginning to think differently based on, you know, the responses we've had so far. Is the question, does the question mean, is it coming from God's perspective? What do you, I want it redefined, because so I can properly understand the response Gerald gave. Ms. Keisha, okay.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much for your responses, both Gerald and Troy. To be honest, my brain went midway. so I received the responses, but I don't even know where my head was at the time. And at one point, while I think Gerald was speaking a while ago, it just kind of went to, okay, yes, this is what marriage is, but also as a Christian, so marriage is this within all cultures or many cultures, but as a Christian, this is what we want it to look like. Based on the God we serve, this is what it may need to look like. Initially, it had come from the idea of, you know, divorce and people living together and stuff like that. And basically saying, okay, is there a problem with people living together, but is it an unbelieving world and therefore they have no reason to be married because it does not fall under their value system as necessary to come together in that way. And that was kind of just where my brain was at the time. I don't know if that helps you, Abena. My brain got, as I said, got confused along the way and started making many other turns.
Thank you for that. Gerald, did you want to say something before I speak?
I hear what you're saying. So you're saying the reason for people maybe not taking marriage seriously or living together before marriage or living together in place of marriage, you're saying, is that because they don't ascribe to Christian values? Is that what you're trying to ask?
Yes, and yeah, is it because they don't truly ascribe to a Christian value, rather than having been raised in a church but having not come into true relationship? It makes it, and I think I must have messaged something below that, or it could have been in my head, I'm not sure, about the social media marriage. And I was just thinking, is it that you're drawn to a social media marriage because the marriage that you saw in your life and I'm thinking, even as Christians or non-Christians, the marriage that child was a part of or came from was not something that encouraged them or they wanted to replicate. They either didn't like how their mother was treated or their father was treated, or, you know, there's something there that makes them not inclined to try to look for that. And therefore the social media becomes like, okay, if I have to do this because you are saying that this is what it's supposed to look like, my future is supposed to look like, then I don't want what I came from, but these things that I'm seeing, this looks possible. So now let me dive into that.
Got it. Okay. Right. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. So it makes sense. Then Gerald, I beg your pardon, your response to that question was right on point, because I was thinking something different, but she's clarified it. So let's say if Christian, let's say pastors pastors are married, husband and wife, and there's always verbal abuse or some kind of physical abuse, and they have a child. Pastors' kids are always going wayward. And there's a reason why they're always going wayward sometimes. And so they're like, okay, if this is what Christian marriage looks like, then I want nothing to do with it. I'd rather focus on the social media kind of marriage because it looks more peaceful. It doesn't look, this dramatic, chaotic household all the time. So if I'm getting it right, if that's where you're coming from, then yes. A lot of people have deviated from the Christian value, precept, or design of a marriage, and they've looked elsewhere. Because the Christians themselves, we are not behaving the way that we are supposed to behave in the Christian ordained or God ordained marriage. We are behaving as unbelievers, or we are behaving as some other people from another planet, but under the umbrella of a Christian home. So then that makes sense. Children will pick it up and behave the way they want to behave. And so if this is how dad treats mom, then either I'm going to be like that or look for something better. And so that whole Christian value has been polluted. Yeah. Okay. That's great. Wow. We have Solomon's hand up. Miss Bella, I don't know where you're at with your questions or who was up.
So Rebecca actually had, this is True Love, had her hand up for Solomon. Sorry, Solomon. We're definitely going to come to you. So keep your hand up. Thank you.
Oh, you guys are all good.
Are you okay?
Yep.
Okay. You want us to ask? Okay. We'll come back to you later then.
No worries.
Okay. So we can let Mr. Solomon, please, you can unmute yourself.
Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Just lost my voice a little bit. So, Miss, I think her name is Felicitas. I think that's how she says you pronounce it, I think. Anyway, yes. So I'm just adding on to that same question about a woman and a father-daughter kind of relationship in terms of like marriage. Yes, everything that she said, it makes sense. But it also can also apply on the opposite side, right? Mother-son relationship. Why do I say that? So of late, I was just listening to this pastor preaching, and he made a point where he said in his house, which I kind of like to see where he's coming from, in his household, in his house, both him and his wife obviously raises their kids. They've got, a boy and a girl. But things that pertains to the boy, he tries to tell his wife, leave that to me. Me, I'm the man, I'll deal with it. And things that pertains to the daughter, he often leaves it to the mom to deal with it. Why is he doing that? The moral of the story is that he wants to raise that son up so that one day he becomes a good husband to somebody's daughter, just as much as the mother will raise that daughter up so that she becomes a good wife for somebody's son. If everyone were doing that, right? If everyone did their part in that type of relationship, it will help. Because why? If any of you ladies on this forum had studied, let's say, a guy that you like or wherever it is, if you have studied their mom, the way that relationship and the son mother relationship, I am sure, or in my personal 2 cents in my head, I am sure that the relationship that you will have with that person, whether it's leading to marriage, will be more solid because you know certain things that you need to do or certain things that you have to do, basically, lack of a better word, to make that relationship sound. We said that, okay, my father, I learned all these tips from my father in terms of like when a boy approached me and so on. What about those people that don't have that father type of figure? And I know we did say, you guys were saying, find one. What if that person was abused and they've classified that all men are whatever? Where are they going to find that? What if that person is saying that? And we've said all these things. Where I'm leading to is that all the answers that we've given is all good, but there is more deeper. You have that emotional pain that people are going through. The mother absence or the father absence in people's life that people never experience it. How can they comprehend, or even if when you talk about it, they can't make any sense out of it because they've never experienced it? What do you do with that? I don't know if I'm making sense.
Troy, this is for you. I'm sorry, Jarrell, this is for you. I can't hear.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So you're asking like, what do you do for the people? I guess specifically, the boys and the girls who don't have that father figure there. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, so that's a hard one, and unfortunately, there's no straight answer because without that father presence, there's a chance there could be some issues, and so my first thought was to say I'll say it this way. My father, he passed when I was 12, actually. And so I feel like right when I was hitting that perfect moment where I could start absorbing those real life lessons, from like 12 to 18, somewhere in there, I didn't have that. And, unfortunately, I didn't have many uncles that kind of stepped in and were able to guide me in that regard. And I have had some struggles, confidence, making better decisions, financial discipline. But at some point, and this is whether or not you have a father, whether you're an orphan, doesn't matter what's happened to you, at some point, you are going to have to make the transition from, man, life sucks, or this happened, to, you know what, I got to do something about it. Now, then the real question is, well, when does that happen? Nobody really knows. It might happen when you're 21. It might happen when you're 35. It might happen when you're 50. But at some point, that moment has to happen. Otherwise, you're just going to kind of live out the rest of your days just blaming other people, and that's going to lead to a pretty terrible life.
Okay. Okay. So okay, let me just add. Okay. I appreciate your answer, but then we do have those people, right? As we know, and especially here in this country, most of our brothers or sons, from a mother's perspective or whatever it is, half of these guys are in jail. All they know in their whole life is doing or hanging around with the wrong people, doing the wrong things. See, I'm a great believer. Things happen for a reason. That reason you and I will never know until maybe many, many, many years down the line. Some people answers will come in within weeks, days, hours. Some of us will take a long while before everything to unfold. So if those people don't have anyone to guide them, what's going to
Very
happen?
true.
And they're going to repeat, and they're going to repeat the same old thing that they know because that's what they know. That is all they know, right? So it is so difficult for, again, some of us who are fortunate to have that peaceful family home where our dads were, like, from a female point of view, our dads is a role model to us, or our mom was a role model to us, or what have you. Others don't even have any at all. But throughout life, the pressures of life, the changes of life, as life unfolds, every chapter, every journey, they experience something different. They go through something different. And I think, um, and I think you gave an example where at the age of 12, sadly, you lost that side, that part of your life, right? But you turned out to be well. Why? Maybe, if you had opportunity to share, if we had time, you share the opportunity of all the people that you met along the way, whether related or not related. You took, something came into you, something happened, that you took certain lessons, life journeys that you took on board to better yourself, to find you where you are now today. Would you agree?
I would agree. Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll leave it there. I'll wait for the next question.
If I could add to it, please, Mr. Gerald. So Solomon, I understand exactly what you're saying. One of the things, I think that as a young lady, maybe as a young woman, you're growing up and you don't have a parent. And I think Miss Valerie asked the question, where and how do we find a father figure? And so at some point in your journey as a woman, as you're growing, you realize that maybe I am not doing things right. And so I need some form of advice because maybe I don't have the father figure around me or a mother figure around me. Then assuming I'm in a church, Assuming we'll talk about if you don't go to church, but assuming you're in a church, your eyes should, or you should pray, or your eyes should begin to open to find someone to either mentor you, to find someone. Hey, I'm going through this, I'm in a relationship and I'm going through abuse. I'm being beaten all the time. Is this normal? You should be able to speak up at some point so that you can get the investment put into your life, or get the coaching that you need, or get the help that you need. Because yes, some of us, maybe our parents are no more, like maybe your dad is no more, and so you're struggling to find someone to fit in. I think it's always good to reach out to someone. Although I have a mother, you know, in the natural sense, I have a lot of spiritual mothers even at this point in my life. And there's one on the platform right now. Her name is Mrs. Lucy Clotte. I reach out to her. I talked to her and I invited her to the program. She's here. So my thing is, reach out to someone if you feel that, you know, there's a certain area in your life that you could do with some help. And I could reach out to Marion's mom. Marion's mom, she makes me great jollof as well. So I have mothers. I have spiritual mothers and I have physical mothers. And I do have, I don't know why, Solomon, you're laughing. Yeah, it's my jollof business. But I do have mothers that I can call up to. And the thing is, stay connected. You know, we don't have it all, but stay connected. And I think that it does help. Mother's Day. Hey, mom, happy Mother's Day. Marion's mom is my mom. My mom is there, but I have mothers outside my mom. Okay, I think this platform is getting heated, but I give it
I just wanted to add on. I just wanted to add on the quick point that you made, that saying that, you know what, people need to speak up. But you see, and I think you used the church bit as an example. And I think we went through. You see, the church is so polluted in the sense that not everyone wants to, and I'm getting the point. Not everyone wants to put, as much as people need help. Not everyone wants to put their business out there, because until somebody speaks, one, they need to know you. They need to know that, you know what, you're not going to tell. They're speaking to you in confidence, right? They don't want the whole church and everyone to know before you realize the pastor is calling you, pray. You know, maybe you didn't want to go that far. You just want to talk to somebody, right? So sometimes
you might have a friend. You might have a friend. Okay, Pastor Ethel is on the phone right now on the platform. You might have a colleague that you can read. My thing is, don't keep quiet. If you have one trusted friend that you can talk to.
Now you're using the right word. See, it has to be based on certain trust.
Solomon.
Before, I want to be specific. I want to make sure. Listen, I want to make sure that as we choose the words, right? Remember, a lot of people are listening, right? As we choose the word, we don't want to make it so vague. So if you're saying trusted friend, in this case, you said that there's one on the line, which means you didn't just got up and went to her. There's something about her that you have studied and you have trusted, and over time, whenever you wanted to talk to her, you went and approached her. You didn't get up and say, you know what, I don't know you from Adam. However, this is my problem. No, it takes time. So until people build that trust in whoever that may be, it is very difficult to go and talk to somebody about something that is pressing you. I just want to say that bit. That's all.
Thank you.
I'm going to keep quiet. If not, we will keep going on.
Don't forget to bring some of the jollof.
Amen. Okay, so we have a couple of people have their hands raised. Keish, please unmute yourself. You had your hand up first, and then after that will be Felicitas, and then after that will be Pastor Ethel. I want to go in order so I can honor everybody. And then I need to make sure I get to the questions in the book because I want to discuss the book. I'm sorry, Jarrell. I might be on borrowed time tonight, but you know I got you.
All right.
So Keish, please unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, I was kind of adding to Solomon's comment a while ago, and I know Abena is funny, right? But no, the unfavorable thing that I always say to people is we tend as a culture not to be very interested in counselors and psychologists and going out there and spending our money. We have to get to that point.
Some you don't.
So they're still on?
We're still on.
That's nice. Is that foreign? Yeah.
Hello.
Sorry, Keish, go ahead.
Okay. And I think we have to get to that place where we are willing to financially invest in ourselves so that we can heal. I met someone who was really young and he was just like, I think I'm planning to propose to my girlfriend, in about 6 months, and what should we do? And it was very weird. It was a stranger who, was serving me, and I was just like, are you a Christian? He's like, okay, the first thing that you need to do is go to a counselor. You need to unpack all of your childhood baggage and trauma. And I don't know this person from Adams, right? It doesn't have to look like trauma. It doesn't have to look like baggage to somebody else. We've spoken about the, father to son speaking into him. So, but, it's a crisscross, right? It's father to son, father to daughter, mother to daughter, everything, because the other sometimes they don't even know how things are received. The father just knows what he's doing, but he doesn't actually know how the wife actually received this act and how she felt about it. And yes, there are times when we don't have our parents, orphans, absent, physically present, but not anybody you would have ever wanted anything to do with. All of these are things that we have to find a way. And sometimes the church can do it. But I think, as it was said, I don't know if it was Jarrell who said it earlier, that there comes a time when you have to take responsibility. And so there's a course called Boundaries, Setting Boundaries, something that I encourage young people to always do. Be able to set boundaries, but also investing in that money so that you can talk out and start to figure out how to set your life up so that you can be who you believe you're being called to be and get rid of all of the baggage and the things that are holding you back. And that's a process and it takes time. And unfortunately, sometimes you need someone who is trained in that department. So I strongly encourage, I know that is not the thing, but I definitely encourage people to go out and get that. And that will bring in the trust aspect, because I'm someone who is speaking who has trust issues. So so I get that. And that will help sometimes until you can start to venture out to people that you can see, that you can start to develop a relationship with. It's not a perfect world, so it's going to happen at different times for everybody. Some people, maybe the parent that they do have will be more direct in trying to figure it out or put these people in their lives. But the other thing that we have to remember is that I don't know if everybody on this call, if everybody is a believer, but I'm going to say this last thing and then I'm going to leave because I know that we're all speaking. Somebody shared with me this story about growing a prized tomato. And she said that when you're growing this prized tomato, in order to make it like really big, you actually, when it's growing, you actually cut off the buds of all of the other tomatoes that will be growing. So basically this plant is actually only producing one tomato. And all of the nutrients, and it grows and it becomes this huge thing. Now, the seed of that tomato, when you plant it, that seed actually produces tomatoes, not as large as this one, but larger than the original seed would have produced. Sometimes in life, God has cut off all of those things that are around you and all of those people that are around you, because the line that you are coming through could not produce in you what he needed to be produced. And you do not want to take it upon yourself to put other people in the way to bring back people in that he was taking out. God is the father, the true father. And when I say the true father, I mean the true parent, the true mother, and the true father. That person, individual or parent that is remaining, by following God, will be able to still steer you as God would want. so that you can be the person that he has been called, that you have been called to be, in spite of all of the other limbs being removed. It's the story of Elijah. Are there any more prophets? I am the only one. No, you aren't. I have a bunch others left that you cannot see, but this is not their journey. This is yours. So prayers for you, my brother, and those people in that situation. All right, I'm out, people, I'm out.
Do that.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. So before we go to Felicitas, just a couple of shout outs. Thank you so much for the people that joined. Taylor, Mama Lucy, Princess. Hi, it's been a while. Virtue, Latoya, iPhone. Not sure who you are, but God bless you and Casey. God bless everyone for that joined in. Tonight we are discussing the marriage God has ordained for you with published author Jarrell True Love, and his name is his ministry. You might need to make that your slogan. Make sure you send me my 10%.
I like
All right, so we'll get to Felicitas, and then so you can unmute yourself after that, Miss Ethel. And if we can pause on the questions, because I really want us to. I have 2 more questions I need to ask Jarrell from his book. Again, if you have not, we'll drop the link in the chat for you to purchase the book on Amazon. It is available for shipping immediately. Okay, thank you. You can unmute yourself, Ms. Felicitas.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just wanted to add to, the same father-daughter, relationship, the question about that. But I think we have pretty much answered that. What I wanted to really say is that you don't have to bring your past into your present or into your future. Yes, you didn't have a father in your life, or your dad is gone, or probably he wasn't really responsible, to be there for you. But you're not going to take that and make that your story. So what I want to advise is have a relationship with God, because honestly, at the end of it, my ultimate is to make heaven. It's going to be me and God, not really my father or my mother or whatever. They were just vessels to bring me here for me to fulfill my destiny. So we have to have a relationship with God. And somewhere in the Bible, I think in the book of Psalms, he says, God will be the father to the fatherless. So you don't have any excuse. Again, you're not going to remain in that pit and said, oh, look at me, I don't have a father, or I can't go further in life, or I don't have a mother, or whatever. Go to God. God knows how to do it. He's the God that makes a way. He's a way maker. Have that relationship with God. Pour out your heart to God. Tell God your desire. Commit your ways unto him and leave the rest for him. If you build your relationship with him and he knows you, he will give you the right, he will bring the right people into your life. I'm telling you, it will just come like this. You're not going to struggle. And don't go after someone with your own eyes. Ask the Lord, who is the person? Is this the person you want me to meet, or send me someone into my life? Listen, when you build that relationship with God, he will hear you. He will do it for you. He just wanted to come to him. So I just wanted to add to that, because yes, we all have stories. Yes, we all have past, but the past has gone. It's past. We can't bring yesterday into today, and we cannot take today into tomorrow. So we are all adults. Now, I believe, when you start talking about dating and marriage and all that, it is about adults. So you should be, be adults for yourself. Be you. And begin to say, this is not what I want, this is what I want, and then go to God. God he has the answers to all questions. He has a solution to all problems. And with God, nothing is impossible. Thank you.
Wow.
Can I? Oh, okay.
I think Miss Ethel will be next before Solomon, if that's okay. Pastor Ethel.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity. But I was just going to say that, day in and day out as we walk in life, God always sends people our way to advise us, if only we will listen. So, if Solomon said that you don't have a father figure, you don't have a mother figure. There's somebody at work that, you might be doing something that they will draw your attention to what you are doing to say, hey, check it. But sometimes because maybe we look down on that individual, or we don't respect that individual, we don't take their advices. God speaks to us in various ways. It doesn't have to come from a pastor before it's thou says the Lord. Sometimes a billboard, you may be going through something and you drive by a billboard and the words on there is something that God is speaking to you about. So let's not just look at, having the male figure in your life before you think God is speaking through that person or somebody you need to look up to. Let's be open so that, what God wants to do in our lives is being done. That is my 2 cents.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So yes, so let's pause on the questions just for the next like 7 minutes, please. And then after that, we'll open the floor back up for Jarrell to answer any other questions that you want to bring up. So if there's something that comes up while I'm asking him questions about his book, please feel free to either write it down or drop it in the chat, and then we'll definitely come back to it, or raise your hand and we'll definitely come back to you to make sure your question gets answered. Thank you all, God bless you. So Jarrell, another question that came up to me while I was reading the chapter on what is marriage, specifically on page 59 of your book. You wrote down, and I'm reading the excerpt from the book, and it says, marriage is a declaration to the world that you have found the person that is worthy of all that you have to give to that individual, both now and forever. So I found this to be, such a really great statement and very relative to anyone that is looking to get married. And I just wanted to ask too, in regards to that statement, can you elaborate a little bit on that statement? Because again, I say it's relative and it also could be subjective. Because everybody might not have that same ideology or thought process in regards to marriage. It might just be, okay, I'm just doing this because my parents did it, and I'm just doing this because I have to do it, and I have to give my parents babies or grandchildren. So can you please elaborate on that specific topic?
Yeah, so like I said before, and that's a great question. Like I said before, marriage is the highest commitment that you can make to somebody. But if we really talk about marriage and we want to talk about it through the friends first lens, understand that I advocate for, once you meet somebody, making sure you get to know them properly, right? Making sure that you take the time to get to know the person that you're in front of, asking the deal breaker questions up front, talking about your trauma, talking about conflict resolution, talking about religion and faith, money, finances, lifestyle, children, really diving deep, right? And that is not a process that happens quickly. Once you do all that groundwork, then, like I say in the book, you are announcing to the world, hey, this is the person that I feel deserves the best of me, and vice versa. They feel the same way. Now, I think a good question to ask is, why should you get married? Well, the thing is that for those of us that have been married, your marriage is something that requires that you protect it, right? It requires, and the first thing about protecting your marriage is making sure everyone around you knows, hey, I am married now. So you need to move differently around me, and I'm going to move differently around you. And so that's why it's important. It's not just to go through the motions, because if you think that if this is the marriage line and then your fiance, and then after marriage, you think that the same thing happens on both sides of the ceremony, then no. And that is how people creep in. That's how you start to have those cracks in the corner that deteriorate your marriage. One thing I'll tell people, anytime anybody asks me, how's your marriage? I say, incredible. I couldn't be happier. Even if me and my wife just had an argument 5 minutes earlier, I tell them I'm the happiest man alive. And that is how I protect my marriage. That is how I communicate to the world that this is my wife and I'm not going anywhere. And as far as you know, we're incredible. Thank you very much. you know, and so that's just one example. But that's why it's important. You have to communicate and you have to move like this matters, right? And so yeah, that's why it's important. That's why I believe that.
Thanks. No, that's real talk. And I know these, you know, I know Mrs. True Love and Mr. True Love personally, and I can attest that I've never seen them upset at each other. And if they are, they don't do it around me. And I'm the closest to these individuals on this platform. I have never seen them angry at each other in front of me, you know, and that is good, because when you do it in front of people, you allow you know, a crevice, you allow the door to be ajar and for people to invite themselves into your problems and issues. I believe resolving everything together, you know, conflict resolution. I learned that from you, Jarrell. That is an important thing, that you guys do it in-house and not bring other people in there or go to counseling. So thank you so much. I have one more question, and then we're going to open the floor back up. We want to make sure that we're directing questions to Jarrell. We have him here to help us, and Abena will take over that next portion. I don't think I said hi to Leslie. Hi, Leslie. Okay, so question number 3 is, so in your book, this is one of my favorite chapters. The name of the chapter is called The No List. So the No List. And in this chapter is actually on page 127. And you talked about deal breakers and things. Well, actually, can you elaborate what the no list is for people that may not have an understanding of what a no list is?
Yeah, so it's very, very simple. The no list is the list of things that you should not do when you decide to utilize friendship as a way to set the foundation for connecting with somebody. So things like no going out of your way to always be available for somebody, right? I say in there, no Netflix and chilling, but really it's no hanging out after hours. You know, if you're always meeting somebody for drinks and that's the only time you ever meet them, then if we're going to be adults, those are the exact situations that set up, you know, situationships and things that entice you to do something that you wouldn't otherwise do. And you know, no introducing them to friends and family on purpose rather, excuse me. And so, yeah, it's just a list of things that you should keep in the back of your mind that you should refrain from doing, just to make sure you keep that connection pure before you decide to get serious with that individual.
That's a good explanation of the no list. I do appreciate that, because I know there's some instances that we tend to kind of fold, should I say, or kind of tread the fence on the no's, and then we find ourselves compromising. Well, not compromising, settling. We find ourselves settling when we go against the no's. Would you say that the no list and red flags kind of are synonymous to each other, or?
The no list and the what? What was that?
Red flags. Red flags?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. The no list is how you move with intention, right? And then once you do that, then that's what allows the red flags to surface, right? And so, yeah, that's what it is. It is a personal set of rules. And, you know, the no list in the book, it's not all encompassing. You can add or subtract from it, but it's like your personal mantra that says, hey, before you get the best parts of me, these are the things that I'm not willing to do, right? And then after we move forward seriously, then yes, then I will prioritize you. Then I will, if you call, other things get canceled within reason, right? You know, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of like that line in the sand that says, I don't cross these boundaries until your intentions and my intentions align.
Yeah, I like what you said about, you know, prioritizing and putting that significant other first. I think there was a female rapper, you know, that said that when she's with her, she's not married to her significant other, just boyfriend and girlfriend right now. But, you know, she said when she's out with her friends and, you know, maybe the girls, and they're going out to eat or having brunch, and her man calls, she has to go because her man comes first. And that's just her prioritizing her man before her friends and, you know, everyone else. And So that's something good to know. So thank you for elaborating on that. And I just wanted to also just put out this tidbit. If you do purchase the book, or hopefully everyone does purchase the book, his lovely wife, Miss Trulove, has dropped the link for the book in our chat. So if you check the chat, there should be a hyperlink that you guys can click on that will take you to Jarrell's Amazon storefront, and you can purchase a copy of the book. Again, part 2 will be coming out soon. I believe it either in the fall or early 2023. So I'm super excited about that. He also has some fun activities to accompany his book and his brand that he will be launching soon. So again, thank you so much, Jarrell. Again, if you do read the book after every chapter, what I do like is that there is like 3 questions that you're able to, ask yourself as like an activity. And then also it holds you accountable. So after you read every chapter, there's something for you to reflect on and questions for you to answer about yourself in regards to yourself and dating that holds you accountable. So it's a practical book. It's an easy read. You see, it's really not that big. So please, please, please support Mr. Jarrell Trulove by purchasing the book. And also, purchase one for a friend too and pass it out. Sharing is caring. So again, God bless you so much, Jarrell. I'm gonna pass it on to Minister Abena, and she will go ahead and take over. God bless you all.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. First question, what is a faithful man? Who is a faithful man?
That's a loaded question. That's so many layers. So you said, who is a faithful man and what is a faithful man? I won't say that's an easy answer, but a faithful man is a man that values his reputation, is a man that values his relationship, even if he chooses someone and then down the line he feels like, wait a minute, I think I chose wrong. He still understands the choice he made and stands by that. And just a man that has integrity and says to himself, you know what, cheating, and for all intents and purposes, cheating is kind of the easy way out, honestly, because it's so easy to give into temptation, right? And yes, if you're constantly having arguments, if you discover you chose the wrong person, then it's that much easier to say, you know what, I saw this girl last night, man, and it's just easy to do that. And so yeah, a faithful man is someone who also, I would say, even to a broader extent, someone who is like legacy minded, and they understand that their actions can have a ripple effect for not only them, but everyone in their immediate circle. And they do their best to, not jeopardize their name when it comes to that.
Thank you. Pastor Troy, would you agree 100% with Mr. Jarrell? Because now I'm going into the relationships here. When women say men were not faithful, we are about to get deep. I mean, our time, my God. Miss Bella, let me know about the time if you talk to about the time. But we want to talk about relationships and faithfulness. The Bible states that a woman will find a faithful man. And the man is he who finds a wife will obtain favor from the Lord. So we want to talk about it from the woman's perspective. How do we find a faithful man?
No. You made a point there. Before you get the pastor to answer it, the last bit you said, the Bible said, he who finds a wife. Now your question is, you want to speak it from a woman's point of view. It didn't say woman, he who finds wife. So I want to make sure we're clear on that topic.
Oh, Solomon, what I meant was this. This is what I meant. For we, the women, we look for a faithful man. Okay. You guys will look for a wife, what's it called? He who finds a wife. Of course, it's not every lady, every woman that is a wife material. And women, we can talk about that later. We know there's not every woman that is a wife material. And so if you want to be a wife, you have to, prepare yourself to be a wife so that someone can discover you and then they would obtain the favor. But we're talking about a faithful man. So Solomon, my question specifically is that what is a faithful man in you guys, your eyes? Because we have an idea as women, as what we deem as a man who is faithful, whether in relationship or in marriage. So I'm talking across board. A faithful man.
May I answer now?
Yes. Yes, please.
I think somebody that is faithful is one who practices and values integrity. So
Okay.
regardless of your chosen field of endeavor, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, however you're doing what you're doing, you set the precedence that your words is your actions. So you say what you do what you say, and you're consistent with it. Because anybody can be faithful within a context where nobody's, watching, but is when people are watching, observing, analyzing. That's when your true character needs to be um, manifested, so to speak. So a faithful man, in my opinion, is one who practices, lives his truth by what he says and what he does on a consistent basis. Regardless of where he is, he practices and shows his words and his actions. Those are my few words in Jesus' name.
Amen. Mr. Jarrell, thoughts?
I agree. Integrity, and a different way to put that is also just self-control. That's a big thing. Being able to, it's one, like he said, it's one thing when no one's watching and you're kind of somewhere, but when you have options, and you have options consistently, and you know you could do that if you wanted to, and it would be easy to still have that self-control. That's important. And I think another question might be, maybe as a woman, how do you, what other keys or factors in a man's life can you look to that might give you those hints that, okay, yeah, I think this man is going to be faithful. I think that he's going to be someone that I could potentially partner with at some point. I think the main question, and I've said this before, is, well, let me back up. I always say that people should become a master at guiding conversations towards the things that they want. So if you are really wanting a faithful man, you need to think to yourself, what questions can I ask that will help me uncover whether or not he's faithful? So back to what I was saying, just honestly asking, man, hey, how did your last relationships end? How did they go? Seeing if he, other personal cues, like how he handles his finances, how he treats you. There are a lot of cues, but I think the most important thing is just seeing if his life is a life of integrity and a life of discipline. And typically that will point to a man, not every time, but typically that'll point to a man that will be faithful to you.
Can I say something? I don't want to.
Go ahead.
I went on a date with a guy one time, and I asked him what happened in his previous relationship, or he was engaged, and him and the fiance didn't work out. They broke up, and he got upset and said, "We're not going to discuss that." So, I'm not looking for counseling per se, but can you, when you ask a man what happened in his previous relationship and he gets offended or upset, what 9 times out of 10, what does that mean? I mean, no one's pointing the finger here if it was his fault, if it was her fault, whatever. But if the fact that you can answer that and, allow us to grow past that.
Yeah. Well, so here's the thing. There's no right answer for that. It could be a number of things, but it could be because I would say what's most likely is that he was either unfaithful, he's embarrassed that he was even with that woman, or it's just so painful he doesn't want to talk about it at all. Okay. But either way, if that's his response, that is like, you stop and you do not move.
Seriously.
You don't move until you can get an answer to that question. Because the answer to that question, that's going to tell you a lot. So yeah, huge red flag. So if that's what happened, my advice would be, don't you hit the brakes and reevaluate this thing.
I haven't seen him since.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Excellent.
I'm sorry. We can get back to the people that have questions.
Yes, Princess, I saw that your hand was up. Please unmute and ask the question.
Okay, so when Mr. Jarrell was talking, what came to mind was the first thing that came to mind was Joseph, because I feel like when it comes to a faithful person, it's not even that he's going to be faithful to you because he loves you. I see it as he will be faithful if he fears God. So I was listening to one of my spiritual mentors speak, and he was like, don't marry a man who loves you, marry a man who loves God. And the first time I was like, it doesn't make sense to me. But then Joseph came to mind with the whole Joseph and Potiphar's wife saga, where he was like, I'm not going to sin against man and God. So it was more of, I'm not going to sin against God, rather than, I want to be, I don't want to hurt I don't want to betray my master who has been good to me. Or in this sense, I don't want to betray my wife's trust. Is because I feel like a man will be faithful because he fears God first. And so because I do not want to sin against God and I do not want to go against my vow to my wife, I won't do this, or I will not be unfaithful in this case. That's what I can add.
Wisdom right there. Jarrell, I don't know what you have to say, but I thought that was good.
No, I like that. And as she was saying that, I said, I went to another thought, something that I've been writing on lately. Now, this might be controversial, and I'll accept that. But I was thinking about my wife, actually. And I had this thought the other day, and the thought was, and this is for women, thinking as a woman, it is important to obviously you want to pick a man with integrity who you believe is not going to cheat on you. But I would say be a woman that a man wouldn't dare cheat on. Does that make sense? Because I'll tell you something. Ain't no way in the world I'm cheating on my wife. Oh, I would be the most foolish man in the world.
Amen. Amen.
And when I say that, because we see a lot of women who are like supermodels and they're out here getting cheated on. So yes, like men, we like looks, but man, those women get cheated on. So okay, so then how is that happening? Because they aren't the type of woman that a man wouldn't dare cheat on. He's the type of man, she's the type of woman that a man would want to be with. But does that make sense?
It's good. So, break it down a little bit. It's very good, but break it down.
Yes. I think I said this the last time we spoke. I heard this quote. It said, a man is looking for a woman. A man wants a woman that looks like a good life and not a good night. I think I said that last time. So yes, you could be a supermodel, I'll use that word, but that does not guarantee that you are going to get the same level of faithfulness and commitment that you think your looks afford you.
Right.
Does that make sense? You'll get in the door, you'll get a ticket to the game, but he'll still have a wandering eye. And so there still needs to be that woman, that wife component in you, that when a man recognizes it, he's like, oh no, not only do I want to be with you, I want to keep you, I want to claim you, I want to walk you down the aisle, and the whole 9 yards.
I want to claim you. I want to claim you. Ladies, I want to claim you. Okay.
Yeah. That was an affirmation.
Okay. I need to get to a question I'm told on the platform from your wife. I would love for Jarrell to touch upon chapter 10, the pool. I think it's an incredible analogy for the friends first notion when it comes to building an initial foundation.
Thanks, Boo. So yeah.
Listen,
So, yeah.
listen. We're here, okay? You guys can take
Yes.
it.
So I'll cover that briefly because I know Keish has a hand up. So basically, there's an idea in the pool, right? And the question there's an idea in the book called the pool, and the question is, okay, well, how do I pace myself? How do I avoid getting involved with someone too quickly? And so there's an analogy called the pool, right? It's a hot summer day. You walk up, you want to swim, you look down, the pool is empty, right? Question is, do you jump in? Obviously, no. But why don't you jump in? Because it's not safe. And a pool or the pool represents a new person you just met. And if you jump in right now, whether it be a few weeks, a few months, it is not safe. And you cannot jump into an empty pool and then get mad that you got injured when you jumped in the pool, right? You have to wait until the pool fills up. And the water represents what you know about this person, the questions you've asked, the experiences you had, the trauma you talked about, the ex-girlfriend or fiance that you discussed, right? That is what fills the pool up. It's not trips. It's not dates, actually. It's not getting physical. It's actually not that. It is getting to know who this person is. And once you do that, then you can dive right in, and you can do so confidently because you know, I have the information I need, and that is the pool.
That is beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you. That is very beautiful. I have a question from Leslie. He said, I have not read the book, and you probably addressed this in it, but what convinced you to give the best parts of you to your wife? How sweet. Let me readdress. Hey, Clotte. Okay. He said, where am I? Jesus. What convinced you to give the best parts of you to your wife? How did you know she was the one? Maybe an uncomfortable question to answer, as I just realized she is here on the platform, but I think she wouldn't mind. So the question again is, what convinced you to give the best parts of yourself to your wife, and how did you know she was the one?
Yes, that's a great question, Leslie, and I've answered that question 100,000 times. So here we go. So in a nutshell, my wife added so much value to my life that I had no choice but to hang on to her.
Whoa.
Right?
Whoa.
And and so so the question is, well, what kind of value? Well, we were really just friends. So there was no there was no tension there. We were actually friends, but we checked in on each other. She asked how my business was going. She gave me ideas. She, gave me reading suggestions. If I called her just for 5 minutes and had a question, like she was there for me. She helped me solve. Ooh, I just had a quote. She helped me solve more problems than she caused. And right.
Wait, pause. Take it easy. Slow down.
I might have to write this one down, actually. Just to go in.
Please repeat that point again.
Yeah, she helped me solve more problems than she caused. And that, to a man, and we talked about this last call, peace, right? In the peace equation, there's really only, it's a balance. It's problems that are not solved and problems that are solved. And there were so many that were solved and very few that she caused, that the equation, it was an easy decision. It really was. And so, yeah, I'd be a fool not to give her the best part to me. And that also goes back to what I said about I'd be a fool to cheat on her because she has too much value. So, like, to give that up, what would I be hoping to get by stepping out on her? It wouldn't make sense.
Oh,
Love it.
we love you, Rebecca. We love you. That was sweet. Okay, so we had a hand up. I don't know if I'm done with the questions on here. Felicitas said, a faithful man is that man who fears God firstly and then knows what to do and what not to do. Okay, that's good. Felicitas again, I believe the guy was still hurting. Okay, maybe I don't know what that is. Let's go to Miss Keish, and then we can take one or two before we'll wrap up at 9 o'clock, people. But I wanted the men to also talk. I know Leslie, you've asked the question. Troy has spoken a bit. Solomon, you're quiet. We'll come back to you after Miss Keish. Miss Keish, please. You had your hand up. Please.
Yes, me again. Jarrell, I loved that you said you were going to cause some controversy because I like doing that too. So when you were speaking, it reminded me of something else I've been thinking about a year ago. The scripture that speaks about how wives and husbands are supposed to relate to each other. Wives, submit or respect, whichever version you want to take your husbands. Love your wives. Love your wives the way Christ of the church.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at that, meaning to do a Bible study on it. But it was husbands, women, your husbands are supposed to love you the way Christ loves the church.
Oh boy. Okay.
Man.
So therefore, women,
Uh-huh.
what are you doing that is unlovable?
Mm.
Husbands, you want your husbands, your wives are being told to submit to you or respect you, whichever version you want to take. What are you doing that makes it difficult for them to respect or submit to you?
Boy.
And before you do anything else, start to fix that in yourself. Bring that to your father. As a man, you bring before God those things that is going to make it difficult for this woman to be able to actually respect or submit. And as a wife, for me, it was, what am I doing that's actually triggering my husband in such a way that it's actually difficult to love me when I do this particular thing. And so now these are the things I'm not sugarcoating something or putting a band-aid over it in order to fulfill what the Bible says. I'm taking it to him so he can heal me of whatever wound is there that is creating a stumbling block for my spouse. As you're speaking about also, just the singleness of mind, and this is the last thing, and then I'm gonna go. I went to the gym. The gym is a wonderful place to go to. And when I go to the gym, everybody's of every different size and shape in the world. And I saw a lady, and this is just how my brain works. I'm not telling anybody God told me anything. This is just how my brain works. I saw a lady who, by certain cultural standards, may not have been seen as physically attractive. The commercial desired of physical attraction. And when I saw her, I immediately saw, in my mind's eye, I saw her husband. I don't know this woman. Please understand that I'm making stuff up because that's just how my brain works. But I saw her husband come to her and embrace her and put his head in the part of her neck. I don't know if you can visualize that. And just sigh out the worries of the day. And he just held onto her body and just released all, and was just so comforted to be in that space and in that time and to just release that to her. And that was all he needed and all he wanted. And I could see and feel the complete love and attraction that he had to this person by other standards that would not have been physically desirable, because the singleness of mind of what she was there for. And then it was like, almost like I was standing there and God was standing behind me. Once again, I'm not saying that this is a vision, this is just my brain, right? Looking how short-sighted we are. And so just going back to that whole cheating and stuff like that, when that singleness of mind is there and you're investing in this relationship and this person because you're feeding this person, because this person is your safe space and gives the best of themselves to you and you give the best of yourself to them, you don't have time to see anything else and to consider beauty or attraction or what you can get from somewhere else, because you are too busy putting in that investment to make sure that what you have and what God has given to you is the very best. And when you return it to him, there is no want for it. You know, it has been nurtured and then you receive the benefits of that.
Please continue to preach. I'm taking it all in.
My time is up. I know there are a lot of people, but I just
no, it's good. I mean, it's really good. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks.
Wow, that's very insightful. Wow. Definitely, it confirms what she said, Mr. Jarrell, that you guys, although you look on the outside, it's what is actually on the inside that causes a man to hold on to a woman that he's found. And so the question to us, the women, is what are we building on the inside? Even if we are already married, what is, still causing our husbands to look just at us and come to us with all their vulnerabilities, all their weaknesses? Hey, hey dear, I saw a woman today and I was kind of whatever. They can open up to you confidently without being judged. And I think that's a beautiful relationship if we can build every relationship to that point. Wow. Thank you so much, Ms. Tish. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Jarrell, well, we have 3 minutes. Any more questions to the man of God or any last minute commentaries or summaries? Oh, I'm sorry, Val, you had a question. In the book, so one more question, Mr. Jarrell. In the book, you talked about vulnerability. I guess that's what we're talking about now. Can a man show sign of vulnerability to a woman, knowing a man's ego?
Well, that's perfect timing based on what Keisha was talking about. And the answer is just yes, absolutely 100%. But a man will only show vulnerability when he knows that you are a safe space.
Ooh.
And yes, and that word safe space, it really does translate into peace. Because men seek out peace. If you think about it, we want to go fishing, we want to barbecue, we want to go work out, we want to go for a drive. Like men, we want peace. That's really what we want. And when we are out in the world, in the marketplace, we're doing our jobs, we're protecting and providing. When we walk through those doors, when we see you, what we really want to see is there's my peace. There's the peace that I've been missing all day, right? They're like every day is a puzzle, and there's a piece that, no pun intended, there's a piece that is labeled peace. And when we get home, you are the one that puts that in place. And when you do that over and over, then not only like he will not shy away from being vulnerable towards you, because he knows that you are equipped to handle that and you don't abuse it. Because vulnerability, it's a privilege, and being vulnerable, that is also giving someone the best part of you, the best parts of you. And so when a woman can demonstrate, basically, when you demonstrate to a man, you can tell me anything, and that's it. You got him. He will tell you everything. But as soon as you start to chip away at that trust, or throw it back in his face, or or make him feel bad for the thoughts he's had, then that's when men put up those walls. And you know, women do the same thing as well. But I know that there's a stigma that men aren't vulnerable, right? But it's not true. We're vulnerable for the right woman. And so, you know, the goal is just to be that right woman, and he'll open up.
Wow. Wow. I've been blessed. Thank you so much. I don't think there's any more questions. Yeah, Miss Ethel said also when he knows that he's not going to be judged, he's more vulnerable to the situation. I am very honored, Miss Rebecca. Maybe we will have you on for a women's talk, because I just got, based on what Mr. Gerald just said, you know, we're going to theme it, women, be thou equipped. We need to be equipped so that we have, you know, we can attract the right spirit, the right man. And even if we are married, we work on certain issues, because certain marriages are falling apart as we speak because of this one issue or the other issue, but everything can be rebuilt, you know. And so we will have a women's talk. Mr. Joe, we'll have you back, but I just don't know when. But we're going to borrow your wife for a little bit on a women's talk, women equipping themselves, because we want to be that kind of woman that a man would, not because of our body size or size of our dress, but he's going to find something in us that would want them to stay and be vulnerable and build a true, authentic, honest, transparent relationship. And you know, there's no turning back, and it's built on Christ. And so I can't say it enough, but thank you so much. I don't know if anyone else has any more questions. Pastor Troy, I can't thank you enough, all the way from Jamaica. He is such a devout man. Every program we have, he shows up. And again, my bad self, it was short notice, but he's here. God richly bless you. Maybe we'll invade Jamaica. Valerie and Marion and myself will invade Jamaica one day and come and support your ministry as well. And please let us know when you're doing something as well. Mr. Gerald, please let us know when you're doing something on Zoom. We'll avail ourselves to support you. Mama Clotte, my mama is on the line. Thank you so much. She's always feeding me on Sundays with some soup, some delicious, Solomon is still out, no problem, some fufu and some stuff. So thank you, Mama Lucy. God richly bless you. Princess, how can I do it without you? You're always showing up in your busy schedule. Pastor Ethel, God richly bless you for showing up and giving us your 2, 3, 4 cents. God bless you. Lorraine Gonga, God richly bless you. I don't know if you guys have any more.
My friend from Canada.
Hey, okay. Thank you. Calling all the way from Canada. We've never been to Canada. We might see you in a year or so. Thank you. God richly bless you. Miss Brenda, what an honor to have you with us tonight. And then Master Leslie Clotte, God bless you for joining us. Where is he at? Mississippi. And then we have someone from Canada. So we have people from different places. Oh, Miss Latoya, you're so beautiful. Thank you for joining us on the platform. We love you all. Oh, Miss Rebecca, thank you for borrowing your husband, lending your husband, however you want to put it. Thank you for giving him to us for 2 hours or 3 hours on the platform. Pastor Solomon, where are you? I think you probably fell asleep. Are you asleep? We can't hear you anymore. Ms. Val, thank you. Solomon, God richly bless you. I honor you, and I thank you for your true, authentic friendship. We've known each other all the way from London. So I think it's probably maybe 15 or 16 years. It's been a long-term friendship that I've known this young man. And Miss Keish, wow, we need to get you back on for a women's program as well. That was deep words of wisdom that you can always, help us to cultivate our lives. And what can we say to our guests? Oh, how can I forget Miss Bella, my own Bella? Thank you. God bless you. Love you so much. I pull them all the time, but they're always here, she and Val, to help with anything that we need. And our guest, God bless you. God increase you in every dimension. God give you grace and more oil to speak to the community of Christians and non-believers about the true love of Christ and how to actually manage your home based on love. We bless you and we thank you so much for everything. Ms. Bella, I don't know if you have any last comments or remarks to make, but I've been blessed. Like I said, we've been in fasting and prayer for marriage. So we just received everything. We just soaked it all up. So we ready. Thank you. And we love you both. Ms. Rebecca, thank you.
Yes, definitely love y'all. Thank you so much, Bex and JT. Like, This means a lot to us. You know, I know you guys are busy and you have your own things going on right now. And so just many, many thanks. Thank you so much. And Latoya said that Troy invited her. So thank you so much, Latoya, for telling us.
Yeah, thank you.
And everyone that joined, just thank y'all so much. You know, people we're hungry for this information, not just us, the co-host and the host herself, and the, you know, our guest speakers, the True Loves, but there so many people are hungry for this information. So we will, you know, try to make this a every month, well, not every month, sorry, every other month thing. Hopefully we can get Gerald to join us every other month. He's busy, so we can't guarantee that, but we want to continue the discussion. This is vital and pivotal information, especially if you're already if you are in the process of becoming a spouse, or you eventually want to get married. This is information you need. So we just want to highly encourage all of you all to please purchase the book. Miss True Love, if you can drop the link in the chat one more time before we leave, please buy the book. Buy 2 copies, okay? Buy 2 copies. That's what I did. I bought 2 copies, one for myself and one for my significant other. He will be getting this book in Jesus' name.
Hey, Miss Bella.
Period.
So yes, he needs to know this is the
deal.
prerequisite Bible that he has to read. So, please buy 2 copies. Support this great couple in their endeavor. And again, I just want to say, God bless all of you guys. God bless you.
Thank you so much for joining tonight. God bless you. We love you.
Thank you for having me, everyone. Have a beautiful evening.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.